And we are live. Hey, Fangy, this is your sixth time on. What's the name of the show?
Is it really 6 times?
Yes.
The name of the show is Ultra Podcast Z. I looked it up today for the first time.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for finally remembering it.
I always just say it's JD's podcast.
Yes.
Well, I knew it was UPZ, but I didn't know what it stood for.
Yeah, so yes, as you can see, Manuel's out this week, so I'm once again taking over. This is becoming a thing where the last week of the month, I guess I'm just hosting with a VTuber now.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I invited Fangy to cap off anime by talking about our favorite anime. Fangy, do you want
to? I'm the VTuber of the month. That's like employee of the month, right?
Yes.
Do I get an award? Are you gonna put it on the wall?
I will see what I can do.
Thank you.
Yes, do you want to introduce?
Sorry, I interrupted.
Do you want to introduce yourself for the audience?
Hello, audience. I'm Fangy. I'm a comfy shape-shifting cryptid. Right now, I'm a jackalope, and I'm also a huge weeaboo, which is why JD invited me to talk about anime.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like I said, this has been our anime. Yes, I will give her an award to Lulu God. Just give me a week to try and get art or something ready to go. I can't do it on the fly. I'm not that fast.
I'm so excited. I've never gotten an award before.
Yes, but like I said, we're capping off anime, our anime-themed month of May, talking about our favorite anime. We've made them into 3x3s, which, if you don't know, is just a list of your 9, like, maybe not your favorite anime, but some of them that kind of best describe you in a way. Like, if you want someone to get to know you, this might be a good set of them to watch. So let's...
Yeah, I did my favorite anime, or like anime that represent genres I like.
Mm-hmm. Same here. So why don't we dive into yours first, Fangy?
I gotta go first?
Yes, you have to go first. I'm sorry.
It's too much pressure.
I'm sorry. You're the guest tonight. I want you to go first because I will have other chances. I'm not entirely sure if we could get you on in another May.
Okie dokie.
Mm-hmm. So here's your list. As you can see, is there any specific one you'd like to start with?
Obviously numero uno, the best anime of all time, Samurai Flamenco. This is not up for debate. My opinion is the only correct one in this case.
You sure? I'm pretty sure we said the same thing last week, and both of us can't be right.
That's right. That's why I'm the one that's right.
Okay.
Samurai Flamenco is like... So, it came out when I was in school, and from the trailers, it kind of just looked like Kick-Ass the anime. I don't know if anyone's like seen or read Kick-Ass before, but it's like, here's a dude that likes superheroes. He's gonna try and become a superhero. And I don't want to like spoil a lot, but it just evolves, and each week things get more and more ridiculous, and it's basically the biggest emotional roller coaster I've been on for an anime. Not like emotional, like sad and stuff, but just like whiplash, I guess.
Yeah. As someone who was also watching it week to week when it came out, that is a pretty good description without spoiling anything. Like, it does go through like the kind of super heroics and manages that, mixing it in with other like genres and styles a bit, like different kinds of super heroics as the week to weeks go by. It's very strange to watch, and sometimes, like I was saying before the show, at some point when you were watching this week to week, it was just a roller coaster, and at some point you decided you were along to see wherever this craziness went.
Yeah, and then you just look forward to each week seeing what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized this recently. I don't think there's a legal way to watch it in America anymore, because it's not being streamed anywhere, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think Crunchyroll lost the licensing rights.
Yeah, I think it was one.
And I think Right Stuff or someone bought it but never actually produced Blu-rays or anything. At least not in the US.
Yeah, that's the sad thing about this that I was also going to bring up, that it seems to have been lost in the shuffle, I think, with Crunchyroll and Funimation, or just over time, just because for licensing reasons. It's a sad
it's
part
so
about...
sad, though.
Yeah. Sad part about anime in the US is that sometimes it's just two people couldn't agree on one thing, and that's why we can't watch something in America at the point.
Oddly enough, they did release Blu-rays with like English subtitles in like Europe. So I paid for like European Blu-rays and collected them all. So luckily I do have a physical copy, But it's really sad now that like there isn't really a good legal way for people to watch it.
Yeah, I'm hoping
But
that.
it's such a gem.
Yes, it is. I'm hoping that someone will get it back in the future. Maybe it's like part of a package deal that comes out eventually, but that's only a hope at this point.
Oh, actually, I have something to show real quick.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yes. Yeah, you can add it on VTube Studio, so I don't think I have to do anything on my end, right?
Yeah, 1 second.
Oh, I forgot you had that.
Yeah, so Samurai Flamenco is actually part of my VTuber model. If you zoom in, my bracelet is Samurai Flamenco's logo, or like his crest, kind of.
His emblem.
And this is a real bracelet I have, and I wear it whenever I need like extra strength. And I'm like, oh, I must channel Samurai Flamenco.
Yes.
With the strength of a samurai and the passion of a flamenco dancer.
Sorry,
that's how much I liked it.
Yeah, you have that bit memorized.
Yeah, it's like one of the few things that like I would consider getting a tattoo of. But I'm a baby, so I have a bracelet instead.
Yeah, I see. But as the day when you work up that bravery to actually get a tattoo, you'll like the next day you'll have 10 more. That's how it was with my sister, and it seems to be the same way with a lot of people who start getting tattoos. As soon as you get the first one, the next ones just kind of appear. And the money just drains from your wallet.
Yeah, the thing is though with tattoos, part of the reason I'm scared of it is because I know that like a lot of onsen in Japan don't like tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to like limit my options in the future.
Yeah, that is also a good reason to avoid them if you want access to onsens in Japan. So yeah, like this one is, like I said, it's another one I watched week to week. It's a really great one. It was one of my top of 2013. I think, was it Silver Spoon that also came out that year? That I think was my favorite of that year. Sorry, it was a really tough year for competition. And
I never watched Silver Spoon.
It's really good. It's from the same artist, Hiromu Arakawa. I was about to say Furukawa, but that's a different last name. From Full Metal Alchemist. How could I forget her masterwork?
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's based more on her experience, like growing up in Hokkaido, I believe. So it's about a guy who goes, I don't need to describe it. That's not on this list, but it's really good anime about like farming and like learning how all that kind of stuff works and going to school. Really different follow up to Full Metal Alchemist. So I appreciate the pivot there.
Yeah, the genre change.
Mm-hmm. But yes, this was, like I said, watching week to week with my friend Kyle. And I think it kind of ended up being kind of a thing you either love or you really dislike, because that was kind of our split. I really loved it. He didn't care for it that much.
Samurai Flamenco?
Yeah.
So you're not friends with him anymore, right?
No, I'm still friends with him. I actually stayed with him when I went to Anime Boston.
I don't understand.
I can accept people with different opinions than mine when it comes to taste in anime.
Not when it comes to Samurai Flamenco. The #1 anime of all time.
Sure, Fangy, sure. Do you want to keep talking about this one, or would you like to move on to your next one?
We can move on. Next up, I put Gekken Shoujo Nozaki-kun because I really like comedy stuff, and I do like romance a little bit. But I always say, like, how like rom-com is a genre.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that Gekken Shoujo Nozaki-kun is a com-rom. Like the comedy is more of the main part.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a meme for this that ended up on 4chan. Like a lot of people really liked it. It was like one of those what I watched, what I expected, what I got memes. Mm-hmm. People really liked it.
Actually, do you still have that so I can put it in the edit?
I don't know. I don't think I do right now.
Okay, well, if you find it sometime...
I can look for it later, and then, yeah.
If you find it sometime in the next week, please let me know so I can put it in. But yeah, this is one I haven't watched, actually. I've had people tell me to watch it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes,
the manga's really good, too.
Mm-hmm, I've heard from all of them. But, so could you describe it for us?
Yeah, so the main, like, the starter premise is that there's this girl with a crush on, like, a cool, tall, silent guy, and she tries to confess to him, and he mistakes her confession as her wanting his autograph because it turns out he's actually like a famous shoujo manga artist. Um,
As you are in high school.
yeah, and then it basically just goes from there, and the cast is like people that like work with him as assistants, and just other people in the high school. There's like a couple different like sort of like pairings, but just every character is super charming and endearing.
Okay, maybe I will have to add that to my watch list. Like, yeah, I definitely appreciate like both rom-coms with more of the romance and with more of the comedy. It definitely shows how genre is less a strict ruling and more of like things you kind of blend together to make something.
Yeah.
I've heard it compared to recipes when writing. Like, some will have you mix more of than one thing in the other, while others will have you mix more of that and obviously throw in different things.
Yeah, and this is more like the comedy mixed in with a little bit of romance on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though the romance is kind of like the premise, like, the emphasis is more on the comedy.
Yeah, I'll have to move this up, but I do have a massive like backlog of things that's been piling up even more these last couple seasons.
I definitely recommend it.
All right. Sorry we couldn't talk more about that one, but do you want to move on to one of your next ones?
Sure. The next one I put was Shinsekai Yori, from the New World. And this is like a weird, suspenseful, supernatural, like, I guess kind of like coming of age type story with a bunch of different kids that live in this weird society. And they're kind of like figuring out the dark side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked it because like you don't really understand what's going on at first. And there's just kind of like this unsettling feeling of like, obviously something is wrong here and we don't quite know what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely like those kinds of thrills. I will admit, this is, I think, the one on your 3x3 that I knew the least about.
Oh, really?
I basically knew its title, and I couldn't have gotten it from the poster or the picture you used. I had to look it up just to make sure I knew what was all on here. So I was like, I have no idea.
One of the main girls in it. Just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to appeal to you.
You're trying to appeal to me.
I'm trying.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I looked up a bit of it, and that's what you've described as basically all I could find out, like the basic, like, what's it, coming of age kind of thriller.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Kind of like you get into like some ethics with it too. I don't know. It's thought provoking.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. I'm not going to show mine yet, but one of mine is definitely on there as well. I think more kind of thought provoking, or at least make a thought experiment, if not thought provoking. Okay, do you want to move on to your next one? Is it Watamote?
It is, yeah. No matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular. So the top three that I put in my 3x3, those are just my three favorite anime. And then this one is more of like the anime you could watch to know me because I have social anxiety, and the character in this series is basically the most socially anxious character in the world.
Yeah.
So it's very, very relatable.
Yeah, that's something I can get behind in anime. I haven't seen this one, but there are so many like other anime that kind of show that, or maybe if not explicitly, like socially anxious person, just someone who's kind of closed off like that at times.
Yeah.
So yes, my note for this one, yes, I can get behind having no friends. I can understand that.
Yeah, and this one, when it was airing, a lot of people complained like, I can't watch it, it's too cringy, it's too unrealistic. And I'm like, dude, no, like so many of the scenes from this manga are just like straight out of like my middle school life. Like it's so real.
Yeah, for me, you could probably bump that up to at least second year of college. I think you would still apply for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you want to keep talking about this one, I was just going to compare it to some other ones, but.
Oh no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the one that always comes to my mind when like talking about socially anxious characters in anime is Handa-kun, the kind of prequel to Barakamon.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so it's about this guy who's a very skilled calligrapher, but has zero social skills, and about one friend who I think accidentally convinced him that everybody hates him. And so
As friends do, apparently.
Yes,
What?
I think it was an accident. I don't believe it was malicious, but he has like this kind of not literal, but this metaphorical wall around him, and it ends up accidentally making him look like he's this cool, aloof guy when he's just like panicking inside.
Yeah.
And so like he does these weird things. People are just like, brilliant tactical move there, cool guy. Like I think in one episode, he accidentally goes up to the chalkboard instead of writing it in chalk or his answer in chalk. He spells it out in calligrapher ink. So yeah, everybody thinks he's just like this cool, mysterious person. He's just, I think you all hate me. I'm just trying my best to avoid you all because I don't want people to hate me. And it's also one of those that is kind of brilliant to watch on a remake or on a rewatch.
Because you notice more stuff?
Yes, especially in like the first half of the first episode, because for some reason, the first half of that episode is like people like plot or planning to tell the story of what's going on, and so there are so many in jokes of things that will come up later that if you don't know anything that's going on, you're like, who are these people? Why do I care? Why is this funny? It's like, oh, and then rewatching the first episode when it was shown at my alma mater's anime club, it's like, oh yeah, it's those things from that episode. It's kind of going back and watching the first episode of Bakano again. It's like, oh, so that's what all that happening stuff was.
Yeah. I could definitely see that happening with Bakano. You should send me the name of that.
Yeah, I will.
I'm not gonna remember.
I will send you that afterwards then.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other one that comes to mind when I think like socially anxious is Hitori Bochi no Maru Maru Sekaitsu, I believe. Not to be confused with Bochi the Rock, which is also about a character.
I was like, I've heard of Bochi.
Yeah, different Bochi. Same social anxiety kind of problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that one, she goes to, I think, a different high school than her one friend. And once again, friends kind of being terrible people, saying, I'm not going to talk to you again until you make friends with everyone in your class. And so it's her just trying everything in the book to make friends.
Popular.
Make friends. Or sometimes just find a loophole. Like in the first episode, her idea is like, if I tell everyone this class has been disbanded and I'm the only person in class, I am technically friends with everyone in class.
Checkmate.
So,
yeah, Watamote is a comedy. So there's also some people who were like, I don't really like it because it feels like it's making fun of her. But for me, it was kind of like, part of the reason I enjoyed it was, oh my gosh.
Cinder has opinions apparently.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Part of the reason I liked it was because like, it was almost like laughing at myself sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was a little bit cathartic.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to laugh at something that hits so close to home just because it feels so real. I can understand. Yeah. There have definitely been times in anime when stuff like that has happened to me.
Next up
is
Higurashi.
One of the other ones I knew was going to be on this list.
Yeah, Higurashi no Naku Koro ni, when the cicadas cry. It's a murder mystery. I love murder mysteries kind of stuff.
Yeah, same here.
I was watching it the whole time, and you're just like trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those ones, along with my Flamenco, where like it would be fun to watch again, not remembering it.
Mm-hmm. Or with just someone who's experiencing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some of like Attack on Titan with some of the reveals, watching it again with my sister.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like...
There are definitely times with Attack on Titan where like, I literally like shouted.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I know where this is going. No, I don't. Oh, I know where this is going. No, I don't. Yeah.
I love those moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also just Higurashi, I really like the Japanese countryside as like a setting. And I just think Hinamizawa is super pretty, which is why I went there.
Mm-hmm. You can see that.
The real Hinamizawa.
Yeah, in a previous episode that I will link in the description on YouTube. This is another one I've seen fully, or I saw the first 2 seasons. Higurashi, and I can't remember what the name of the actual second season is called.
Higurashi with some subtitle. I don't know.
With some subtitle. I know it's not Go or Sotsu, which are the newer ones.
You gotta watch the newer ones too. Those are pretty interesting.
Once again, massive backlog. I'm working on it.
I know, but you should prioritize the anime I recommend because my taste is excellent.
Of course it is. Yes. But yeah, like I said, this is another one that just kind of leaves you every episode wondering, what in the is going on here?
It also gave me nightmares. Like, I literally had a nightmare where I woke up, like, screaming.
Oh,
Because I had a dream. I was having a nightmare that I turned over and Mr. Fangy had a Higurashi face. I don't know if you've seen Higurashi, you know what I mean.
mm-hmm.
There are just like these really scary faces that happen sometimes in it that they do with like the eyes. And in my dream, I looked over and Mr. Fangy had the Higurashi face, so I started screaming in real life. And then Mr. Fangy woke up because I was screaming. And then he couldn't figure out why I was screaming, so he thought that there was like for some reason he thought there was a bug on his shirt. So like he started like trying to take his shirt off. And then I woke up because he was moving around trying to get his shirt off. And then I thought he was like having a seizure or something because he was like flailing about wildly. It was an interesting morning.
Fangy, I just want to let you know right now, if you're okay with it, this is probably going to be the short for the week. That story.
Sure.
Just because that is such a very strange story. And it's just like, oh yeah, I can see this escalation going on.
Yeah, it was just misunderstanding after misunderstanding. All thanks to watching Higurashi the night before.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it shouldn't be one of those things you watch before you go to bed. But then again, I'm also the guy who'd watch horror anime before going to bed and have a decent night's sleep.
You gotta watch it at night with the lights off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need that spooky ambiance.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know if we really pitched the premise other beyond murder mystery. It's like, yeah, small town in the Japanese countryside, murders start going on. You wonder what's happening, and then they start happening again and again. It's weird.
It's very weird.
But yeah, it all comes together in like the end of at least like a season 2 and makes some sense. And you're like, oh, that's what was happening.
Yep.
It's definitely one of those you're best kind of going into with the basic knowledge of, oh yeah, there's going to be some messed up stuff going on, lots of murders, and then like just watching it and experiencing it from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a disturbing show. Like, don't watch it with children.
Yeah, please
the characters
don't.
may be children, but children should not watch it.
Unless you want to terrify them, but please don't watch it with children.
If it gave college-aged Fangy nightmares, I don't want to know what it would do to a kid. They would be traumatized forever.
Yeah. Okay, next up, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, right? Or is this specifically part 4?
Well, specifically part 4.
No, part 2 is the best.
My favorite one out of the ones I've seen, which none of my friends really share that opinion usually. They all really like Joseph, so they like the second season the most.
Yeah.
Or they like Jotaro, and like I'm not about Jotaro. I loved the 4th arc. What did you call it, like arc?
Yeah,
Generation. Part. I just felt like it was like super campy. It was like the most like whimsical, I guess. It was the most fun to me.
Yeah.
I also felt like it was kind of like the least dark out of them. Like there are dark moments, but
yeah, I was about to say, which is weird.
For the most part.
When it's about hunting down a serial killer.
Yeah, but for the most part, like the characters end up okay.
Yeah.
Whereas in, some of the other ones are like, let's kill off everybody.
Yeah, that's weirdly one of the things I don't like. Not that it doesn't kill off people, that it's kind of like, oh yeah, there's this big serial killer mystery going off in the background. Hey, why don't we go to that Italian restaurant and see what's going on?
Oh, I was so unsettled during the Italian restaurant episode, which I know is the intent.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I was
so uncomfortable.
I have a really funny story about that episode.
Oh.
So I generally don't watch anime in front of my family, but just because of where I was living, I had to watch it in the living room for that episode. And so that's the only episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure my mother ever saw.
Great.
So I'm just like sitting here having to explain, yeah, this isn't really what usually happens, but I guess in a way it is what usually happens.
Yeah, actually, I had a similar experience with part 4. The only JoJo episode that Mr. Fang has ever seen is the one with the invisible baby. And
Yeah.
then like Joseph like starts like bloodletting to find the baby. And that's like Mr. Fangy was like, "What? What is happening?"
The most sane thing
Who's
Joseph
this
Joestar has ever
baby?
done, by the way. Because, yeah, Joseph is my favorite. Like, part 2 is just like peak JoJo, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. Everyone likes part 2 or part 3 the most. No, I'm a Josuke person. Josuke all the way. I love him and his dumb hair.
I'll say, are you going to mention the hair or am I?
I love it.
I mean, it definitely gives him a distinctive look compared. I guess every JoJo has a very distinctive look. Like with that long, is it technically a pompadour? I don't remember if it's a pompadour.
I would call it a pompadour. I just think pompadours are fabulous. I love them. Space Dandy has one too. It's
Oh
great.
yeah, Space Dandy, great character design, great series. Might have been on an alternate version of my 3x3, but sadly not there.
I debated it. I debated putting it on here. I debated putting it there instead of the JoJo, actually. Where I was like, it's a very similar, silly kind of vibe.
Yeah, nice to know we have similar taste. Who would have thought? But yes, JoJo also might have been on mine had I not had a bunch of other things, but it would have either been part 2 or part 6 for me.
Okay, part 6. Okay, yeah, that's the
Stone Ocean.
the girl.
Yeah, Jolene.
Okay, yeah. I started watching that one, but I haven't finished it.
Oh, it's really good. I liked it. I know a lot of people weren't happy with how Netflix was releasing the episodes just because they did like seasonal drops rather than JoJo Fridays, as so many people got, I guess, accustomed to watching it on Crunchyroll.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not as affected by that. I'm okay just marathoning anime, but I'm also
me
not
too.
in like in a lot of communities where it's like, OMG, did you see what went on this week? What's going to happen next week kind of thing. I'm just like doing that to myself. So it's like, oh, what's going to happen in the next episode? Next episode. Woo, that happened. What's going to happen in the next episode? Yes, but JoJo, it's one of the, I think, definitive shonen anime that got one of the best, or manga that got one of the best adaptations of a shonen manga could probably hope to get. I'm really hoping we get parts 7, 8, and eventually 9 animated, but
I'm sure. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, as soon as David Productions figures out how to do horse as well for Steel Ball Run.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. I'd say I also appreciate JoJo because just about everything is named after music. And I'm a big fan of rock music, the kind of like stuff that Araki references in every part. So it's like, oh, hey, I know that group. I know that song kind of thing.
See, I'm in the opposite where like a lot of these band names and song names I learned from JoJo first because like I'm not very like musically cultured. I just listen to weeb music. Like if a song wasn't in an anime music video, I probably don't know it.
So yeah, that's why it was cool in part 2 seeing that. Well, Lisa is named after was it Lisa and the Cult Jam, a singer in her band, or that her assistants are Loggins and Messina after Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina, who were a group together because I guess Kenny Loggins had Jim Messina sitting in with him for his first album and they just kind of kept going for a bit.
You know what drives me crazy though with JoJo?
What?
When they subtitle it, like the legal subtitles. Like,
Yeah.
Instead, they won't subtitle Vanilla Ice. They'll say Cool Ice. And it's like we can hear him saying Vanilla Ice. Like we can hear it, buddy. You're not fooling anybody.
Yeah, I get that it's a legal thing, but yeah, some of them at least have interesting names or close-ish names.
Yeah, it's just.
And then sometimes you just get
comical every time though.
Yeah, you get like Zipperman instead of Sticky Fingers.
Yeah.
Which is a really weird one, but I understand he makes zippers. It kind of fits. I was hoping there was a bit more of a reference to that, but apparently not. But yes, JoJo, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. That's certified by both of us.
And if you don't like the first couple seasons, stick with it. Season 4 very good. Like I feel like the different seasons sometimes have pretty different vibes. Yeah,
that is another great thing about JoJo, having like more distinct parts where tone and kind of style changes up.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see Araki's kind of like evolution as an author, coming up with new things, or even just the evolution of his style. Like he started out kind of with the Fist of the North Star-esque, like big hunky men. And then part 4 is where he started like slimming them down a bit. And then I think it really hits in like part 5 and part 6.
It's kind of cool to see that change
Mhm.
with like people's interests.
Also, just his like any new music he comes up with, or like he starts hearing and puts it into that.
Or
That's
new
what.
fashion.
Yeah, that too. Like to have your stuff showcased in like fashion magazines and the Louvre of all places is just got to be a peak for being any kind of artist.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've talked about JoJo long enough. We could probably go on for an entire podcast, though. Do you want to move on to your next one?
Yeah, this is The World God Only Knows. It's basically about a guy who loves playing dating sims. That's like his main thing that he does. And for some convoluted reason, he has to woo a bunch of girls for real. Um, so it's basically just him like treating real life kind of like a dating sim and trying to like make different people fall for him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's more like romance plus comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he's a gamer, and also I like dating sim type stuff and visual novels. So
I've
I
watched
don't
you
know.
play through Fangy.
It just struck the right chord with me.
Yeah, even as like someone who doesn't play them all that much, watching this was a fun time. I think I've only seen the first season so far, but it was just kind of hilarious
Yeah,
seeing as
I think
how
there's 3 seasons, maybe.
I think 3 or 4.
It's not fully adapted though. The
Mm-hmm.
manga ended, but they didn't adapt all of it to anime.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah, just like seeing the guy going through, oh yeah, I know all these things and how they work in games. I can do this. And like seeing how that kind of his
Yeah.
genre savviness and real life sometimes kind of interact.
Mm-hmm. And you don't get to see this as much in the anime because it kind of gets covered more in the manga. But eventually, like he starts like taking it more seriously, and like the ending made me cry. The ending made me cry. Like there was actually like a sweet romance story in there.
Aw. Yeah, beneath it all, we're just sappy romantics, aren't we? Yeah, and I can't remember which episode it was. It might have been one of the specials, but he's like playing 7 games at the same time and somehow going through all of them. It just gets over the top in like the kind of sweetest ways possible.
He's got uber micro.
Yes, he's gonna own those noobs.
I don't think people say that anymore.
You're right.
I don't think they've said that for a couple decades.
Thanks for making me feel old. I know
It's
you're
okay,
old. You're 408.
At least you're not 408. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, actually, you remembered your age this time. You stopped
I
lying about
did.
your age. Maybe you'll start lying about other things soon. Hashtag Yawngate.
What?
I said hashtag Yawngate. I'm gonna make it a
How
thing,
dare
Fangy.
you.
I'm gonna expose your lies. Next one is
up is .hack/sign. This wasn't like the first anime I saw as a kid. Like obviously I watched like Sailor Moon and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon and stuff like that. But this is like one of the first ones I got into that wasn't like the super basic ones that everybody watched as a kid. You know,
Yep.
This was more like I'm probably dating myself here, but like preteen years or whatever. I would like stay up late and watch it on like Cartoon Network or whatever. And it's basically one of the first like video game isekai series. A lot of people don't like it because it's kind of like it's slow. It's not very actiony compared to other ones, but I really liked it. It was very mysterious, trying to figure out what was going on. That's kind of a theme with me. I like mystery stuff and trying to like figure out like what the hell's going on in this world.
Yeah. This is once again one of those things I've never seen. I've kind of heard about it. Have you seen any or seen or played any other .hack stuff?
I've played some of the games.
Just because my understanding was that it's like a bigger multimedia franchise where the story kind of continues through the other medium or media.
Yep, there's PlayStation games. There's at least 2 anime. There's a manga. They had like an MMO at one point. Yeah, it's like a whole big multimedia thing.
Yeah, so is this like another trapped in an MMO kind of thing, or?
It is, and it's like one of the first like that. And
Oh yeah.
at the very least, and I mean, I know we're talking about the backlog. You can't really help that. At the very least, I would recommend listening to the soundtrack. It is a super beautiful soundtrack. Like I have some of my friends that listen to the soundtrack. Their parents like wanted copies of it to listen to. Like that's how pretty it is.
Oh yeah, I don't think I can beat old people actually listening to anime music as
Yeah, yeah.
metric for how good it is. Yeah, I will have to get into dot hacks someday.
At a minimum, just listen to the music.
Did I have something?
Put it on while you're showering or something.
Yeah. Oh, good. You know what I do while I shower? I listen to music. It helps me also keep time so I don't stay in too long.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. The other thing, I was trying to remember because I think a few game shows back, it wasn't one you were on, but I had the fictional MMOs round in Anime Connect. And so one of them was The World, which is
The World, yeah.
supposed to throw you off because it's also Dio's stand in JoJo.
Know.
So it's
that probably tricked a lot of people.
Yeah, is it stands?
It's when you say The World, everyone's gonna think of the stand.
Yeah, that's why I also put it
first. Unless you're from like this era.
Yeah, that's also why I put it first.
It was an MMO first.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think by that time JoJo's Part 4 came out in, I want to say the early 90s, late 80s. So
yeah, the manga was probably out. The anime probably not.
Yeah, but yes, maybe. Most people will know Zawaru or The World now from JoJo. And so that's why I had it at the one that got you the most points, because I knew if anyone was going to jump the gun at that point, they were going to say the wrong thing.
Did it trick people?
Yes, I believe I've only run that one on A to J before. Mm-hmm. So if I run it at the convention next year, it's definitely going to be on there. Like it was that. I think it was Fruit de Mer, Forest of Savior from My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999.
I know, based off of Tree of Savior, which, I love that.
Yeah. That's why I thought, okay, maybe this one
game.
Is running more into, you realize that this is an MMO because you've heard of Tree of Savior.
Yeah, true.
And then the last one is just Sword Art Online.
I don't think people know about Tree of Savior.
Yeah, it definitely didn't get...
I don't think it was very big in the West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all my questions are obviously work in progress. I'll fine-tune them sometimes, especially when someone gives me a suggestion. Like, I had a similar one for characters whose sisters are named Ruby, whose sisters are named Ruby.
You did that one for me.
Yeah. And
Aqua.
Yeah, Josh suggested...
And then one of the Prism, the gem butts.
Yeah, I think I said siblings technically, just because the gems in Land of the Lustrous are more, I guess, agender rather than female. But yeah, I think I swapped out that one so I could just call it sisters with was it Wang Xiaorong from Ruby, whose sister's named Ruby, and that has an anime adaptation. You can't fight me on that one anymore. Like some people might get angry if I do something that's not anime related, but if it has an anime adaptation,
you can if you throw in something with Avatar, you could start a war.
Yes. Okay. Let's finish off your list, Fangy. What's our last one here?
Yeah. Lastly, this is more the manga. I'm more into the manga than the anime for this, but it did get an anime adaptation a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
This is Tomodachi Game, and this is just kind of representing a genre that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the all according to Keikaku type, like the Light Yagami kind of character, where there's a mastermind and they have all these crazy plans, and you as the reader don't quite know what they are until you get to it. And it also has a bit of a survival game element where at least in this one their lives aren't at stake for the most part, but it still has that kind of competition, high stakes sort of feel, which I like. So Tomodachi Game, Kaiji, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy those.
Yeah, this is another one I haven't seen, but as soon as I saw on your list, this is the kind of thing Fangy would like.
Yeah, it's just the character, it's very the main character in the manga and in the show, they don't tell you what he's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And you always know he has some kind of plan to game the system, and you don't know what it is. And it's fun to see what he thinks up, kind of like No Game No Life as well. Shiro from there.
Mm-hmm.
Or not Shiro.
Sora and Shiro.
Sora, yeah.
Yeah. Blank never loses.
Yeah. I just enjoy that type of character and story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Going off of just the art and what I heard about it, I thought it was more of a death game kind of things. And I know you like
it is kind of a death game vibe.
So
it's yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh yeah, this must be why Fangy likes it, and this is what it's kind of representing of her.
I considered putting Danganronpa in here because it does have an anime, but it's really more the games that I like.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I was like, I wonder if Danganronpa is going to show up in here. I know she likes the games. Don't know if she cares about the anime all that much.
I mean, I liked some of it, yeah. But it doesn't have to be like a death game, but it's like the kind of like competitive, high stakes, uh, people having to like think of like clever ideas kind of stuff I find really entertaining.
Yeah, that's always very fun. I think that's one of the things I kind of like about, like, especially the ending of JoJo Part 2 is just like, as Joseph just comes up with these more convoluted plans that somehow end up working.
Yeah.
It's like, there was no way you could have predicted that, Joseph. How in the world did you have all that stuff stored in your pockets? Just, it's bizarre.
I feel like I need to go back and rewatch Part 2. I feel like I remember Part 1 really well. But when I get to Part 2, the main thing in my mind is just Joseph and cabbages.
Cabbages?
It's like, no, like there's a scene where like he stuffs his
top with
cabbages.
The scene in Mexico. I know what you're talking about now.
For some reason, that's what stuck with me the most.
I will have the picture up here for people watching the YouTube edit. Or I guess technically over there. But yes, Tequila Joseph is definitely a thing that gets burned into people's memories.
That, and then just the song, the Bloody Stream. I think that's what it's called.
Yes. No, wait. I can never remember if it's Bloody Stream or Bloody Stone. It's one of the two.
That.
Yes, it's one of the two. I know I mixed it up one time during a game jam, and I got corrected in the Git commits.
They were like, actually?
Yeah. So yes, this has been a very interesting list. Some of them I very much expected, like Sam Flam and Higurashi. Some of them
I talk about those too much.
Yeah, you
they
talk.
Were given.
Yeah. Other ones I didn't, but that kind of fits your personality, and I definitely think this is a good list for you.
It's hard to narrow stuff down.
Yeah, believe me, it was like picking children when coming up with mine. Speaking of that,
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you have.
Okay.
I guessed one of them. I knew that you would have. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'll wait till you bring it up.
There we go. Yes, here's my 3x3. A very different, but still, I think, very informative about me kind of thing.
Okay, wait. Let's see if I can guess what they all are.
Okay.
Okay, so Psycho Pass.
Yes.
Princess Mononoke.
Yes.
Skip.
No,
One
the title is
Piece?
not Skip. Yes.
One Piece. Detective Conan. I think this might be Beck.
What gave it away?
Maybe.
Fangy, can you tell me what gave it away? Was it the
I don't
title? Being in the title of that one? Is it just the fact that the title's in the only thing I can find for it on the website?
If it was just the silhouettes, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
The bottom left, I don't know. Then there's Code Geass.
No, it's still Clamp. I know.
Really?
It's Clamp. They reuse a whole lot of faces.
That was okay.
You thought that was Lelouch? Yes. Lelouch just uses his face again.
I did.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the bottom right is what is it? Diamond No Ace or something like that?
No, that's another baseball anime.
It's baseball. I have like a 50-50 shot.
I mean, there's Mix, there's Touch, there's a whole lot of other ones, but no, this is Big Windup specific. So yes, in order.
Tell me.
Going in the order, yes, you're right. Psycho Pass, Princess Mononoke, After School Dice Club, One Piece, Detective Conan.
I was thinking of some kind of after school club thing.
Yeah, Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad, Girlfriend, X, and then Big Windup. So, let's start in the center with mine, just because that's where I put my favorite.
After I made mine, I was like, should I have done that?
It doesn't matter. I just like putting mine in the center. But yes, my name on Twitch is Mr. Otaku. I got it from watching way too much Detective Conan. It's my favorite anime. I am just a sucker for a different kind of murder mystery every week or two. So it's like, oh yeah, here's this served up on a silver platter for you, JD. How would you like it?
We're kind of similar in that regard, but I'm guessing Detective Conan is more like episodic. Like
yeah,
each episode is a separate thing.
Sometimes there are 2, 3, or longer episodes, and then the 2-hour-long specials. Like I was watching more of it recently, and I was like, okay, 2 episodes a night, and then I came up. The second episode was a 2-hour special. It's like, do I stay up and watch this? It's like, it's a 2-hour special. No, I should probably wait till tomorrow. It's like, but it's a 2-hour special with Kaito Kid in it, which is his rival thief character from another one of the manga, because manga. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm staying up and watching this now. Yeah. So yes, Shinichi Kudo, or Jimmy Kudo if you watch the original English dub, like I did. Teen detective extraordinaire. Father is a murder mystery novel, or I think a mystery novelist. Does more than that. His mother is a world-renowned actress, and he just somehow ended up going to crime scenes, becoming one of the great criminal, or one of the investigative minds of the age. After solving a murder on a roller coaster, decides to tail the two people in the black organization. They catch him, inject him with a serum that they think is going to kill him, which accidentally de-ages him about 10 years, taking up the name.
Oh, so he's not a little kid.
No.
I didn't know that. I've never watched it, so I didn't know.
Yeah, he takes the name Conan Edogawa from Arthur Conan Doyle and Rampo Edogawa, the Japanese mystery writer who took his name from Edgar Allan Poe, writer of one of the original detective novel or stories, The Murders in the Rue Morgue. It's just kind of like murder mystery after murder mystery after that as he slowly gains more information. Like the plot moves at the pace of a glacier. I'm just here for whatever mysteries are coming up the next week, honestly.
Is there an overarching plot or mystery?
Yes, he's trying to bring down the black organization, which is this like criminal conspiracy that has their hands in a lot of things, generally murders, bombings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's trying
Usually
to avoid.
bombings. I feel like bombings kind of fall under murders.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they're not like their murders occur. They might not be the main goal. It might be just the destruction or the chaos it causes. That's why I kind of separated them there. And so he's like trying to get more information on them, like who's their boss, how do I bring down these members, and how do I avoid detection by them, especially because there are a few times when he's working with the scientist who created the toxin, who also de-aged herself when she used it on herself to try and make a full antidote, but they only ever seem to work temporarily. So he's like, okay, I have to avoid detection because if they know I'm still alive, they're going to keep asking questions, and that might eventually lead them to me. So yeah, it's cool. Some of them go in depth about some weird subjects that it's like, I don't know why a serial killer would use this as their modus operandi, but it's very interesting to watch and go like, oh, I could have deduced it from that. Like one of them I read.
Oh, that's what I really like, where like you actually could have solved the mystery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you're like watching closely enough.
And sometimes you need to know like an obscure subject. Like one of them, like he's going, I think, in the name order or in a name order based on music scales. But then you realize, oh wait, he was trained in music in Germany, and the German music scale goes up to H instead of G.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Or my favorite one of the ones I've seen is the Moonlight Sonata murders, which is like everyone thinks it stops after 2 murders because it says, Ghost is done here. But Conan's like, wait, there are 3 movements to the Moonlight Sonata. There's going to be a 3rd murder.
Yeah, I got to check this out.
Yeah, and it also, as being just a kid with the mind of, I guess still technically a teenage boy, but an adult, as the opening would say. He can kind of use being a kid to get away with things or have people underestimate him in the same way a detective like Miss Marple would use getting away with being an old lady.
I feel like that happens a lot in modern isekai, where it's like, I was reincarnated into a game as like a teenager, but I'm actually like a 35-year-old office lady. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to invent something in the past.
I believe it technically has more Delulu God, but yes, you are right. It basically has as many episodes as One Piece.
Okay, that's gonna scare me out of watching it.
Yeah, just watch like a couple episodes at a time. It'll take you 5 years.
I don't like that. That's a big commitment.
Okay,
it's a 5-year commitment.
Yeah, you made a lifetime commitment already, Fangy. It's called being married. Just in case you didn't get what I was referencing.
I got it.
Okay, just making sure.
I was trying to think of something witty, but I didn't.
Okay. The story of Fangy's life. I was trying to think of something witty, but I didn't.
It's so true. It's so true.
Okay, let's start going top to bottom now. Or I guess left to right, top to bottom. Psycho-Pass. I originally had Steins Gate here. They are both 2 of my favorite like sci-fi stories in anime, and probably in general. This one, I decided to sub in at the last second because I thought it was also very indicative of me getting into the like simulcasting at the time.
Yeah.
Like I still remember one of my friends texting me. She was like, hey, want to come to my room and watch this? I need to make sure that I'm not like insane and thinking this is really good. So because I didn't have a Crunchyroll account at the time, I just went down to her place. We watched it on her laptop. I think it was this and Unlimited Psychic Squad, or Courtesy of Zettai Car and Children, The Unlimited Hyobu Kyosuke, whichever title you want to use for that second one. Unlimited Psychic Squad is just a lot easier to say on me. But yes, it's a story. It's another kind of police mystery story about future Tokyo. About, I think it's 2112. At that point, I think it's 100 years from when it started. But the world is or Japan is governed by the cipher system, which like helps you figure out what to do with your life. It'll give you like your assessments, and it also judges people like psychology, seeing where they are on criminal levels. So like your color like that shows up in the system will change depending on that.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
kind of like interesting, like ethics wise too.
Yeah. So
like it'll be like this person has potential for crime.
Yes. I think that's almost exactly what it's called too. And so it's these detectives in the police force and these convicted criminals. Some of them are ex-detectives. Some of them are just kind of like hired on to do enforcement work with them under the supervision of a detective. And so it is just kind of looking at how we judge people for criminality. Like there are some people who've probably never done anything wrong, but for whatever their thoughts are just kind of being judged by the system. And it's like, what do we do when we have someone who can't be judged by the system for what reason? What do we do then? And like, it's not even the show asking this. It's a character, one of the like characters who can't be judged, like asking, what are you going to do in this situation where you can't take me out, but I'm threatening someone? So it's kind of
right, because in the show in Psychopaths, they're guns.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not up to like the cops whether or not to shoot someone.
Yeah, it's up
like
to
the gun decides whether or not it's okay.
Yeah, the gun called the Dominator is basically hooked up to the cipher system, or Sybil system. I called it cipher system. That was one of the things that my actually panel that I did, and I completely forgot that it's not the right name. It's the Sybil system.
Is Cypher from something else?
Cipher system is a tabletop RPG system.
Ah.
Somehow I instilled myself with the wrong information completely accidentally. But yeah, it's the same diff. And so as the seasons go on, we look at new ways of like skirting the cipher system or Sybil system. Gonna caught myself this time. Skirting the system and how people kind of play around it and how that kind of works into policing and that kind of stuff. It's a really great show. I think it's all on Crunchyroll at the moment. All 3 seasons, and I think we're at 6 movies at the moment.
Oh, wow. I definitely have not seen the movies.
Yeah, because it was season 1, season 2, first movie, Sinners of the Systems trilogy, season 3, First Inspector, and then Providence.
Yeah, I've seen the 3 seasons. I don't think I've seen any of the movies.
Mm-hmm. I think the entire series is really great. I think, well, I think season 2 is probably a bit of a step down from season 1. It's still a very interesting look at how things might go. And it definitely allows Akane Tsunemori to be like the main character, while season 1 is much more about the enforcer and the criminal, their kind of battle against the system. So it's a very interesting thing to see. So yes, please watch it if you can. I will probably link it below. Yeah, it's one of my favorite series of all time. It's one of the ones that helped me get into watching simulcast anime.
I will second the recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Now, on to one of, if not my favorite anime movies, Princess Mononoke. This is, in my opinion, I think it's not a very controversial opinion, probably a very popular opinion, Hayao Miyazaki's masterpiece. It's the story.
I feel like a lot of people like Spirited Away or like Howl's Moving Castle the most.
Yeah, which is.
But I'm with you. Princess Mononoke is my favorite.
Yeah, it's also weird for me to say that Princess Mononoke is my favorite while I'm sitting in a Howl's Moving Castle background. This is just the one that I picked when they had free Zoom backgrounds in like 2020. I was like, this one looks cool enough that I can use for like jobs and stuff when I don't want them to see the messy room behind me. So yes, it's the tale of I believe it's Emishi Prince Ashitaka, who gets corrupted by a boar god that attacks his village. They have to cast him out. And so he goes wandering until he finds the source of that corruption, which was from a bullet that had shot the boar, bring him to Irontown and its struggles against the forest. It's a very, it's like it's epic tale. It's one that you should kind of watch on the big screen if you get the chance. I don't know if it's passed in this year's Ghibli Fest, but if you do get the chance to watch it there. I'd say it's about kind of the balance of civilization and nature, how we can never really return to nature in that sense, and in how nature itself is not pure. There are things that will kill you because they're hungry or because they're vengeful at this point. So it's more about finding a balance so that you can see with eyes unclouded by hate.
It's one of the more serious Ghibli films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that if you had to pick one Ghibli movie to watch, it would be this. This one would be my choice. It's coincidentally not the one I've seen the most times, because I think that still goes to Kiki's Delivery Service, which I watched 4 times over 4 days when I had no computer during college. So I had to watch it on VHS. I had rented from the Anime Club.
I don't think I could watch. I don't think I could do that.
I had nothing else to do. So it was either that or basically, I think, play my DS or a video game. So it's like, because at that time, I was just a guy who stayed in his room all day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was what I did most of my time. Okay.
I think the Ghibli film I've seen the most is probably Spirited Away.
Next one, After School Dice Club. Please, okay, cool, did fit on there. So this one is I think one of the most, I think other than Girlfriend, one of the most recent ones on here. Yeah. So this one, it's basically a cute girls do cute things anime, where that cute thing is play board games. And
I like both those things.
Yeah, and I mean like actual board games. So if you didn't know the rules to a board game that they play in here, you could watch it and get a decent understanding. Like episode 1, they play, I think it's called Marrakesh, about like selling rugs and placing them on a mat. There's an episode on...
I've heard of that one before, actually.
There's an episode on Blockus.
I love that game.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's also like this little subplot about Midori, the one in the glasses in the back, how she wants to design her own board games. And as someone who's worked in both video and board game design, it kind of really struck a chord with me. How there's that kind of struggle when you're a game designer and you just like find someone who seems to instantly understand things much more quickly than you do, who seems to have it all down, and you're like, I can barely make something functional at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So that struggle, like with your own imposter syndrome, really struck a chord, because I was at a low point at this time in my life. And so that and the main character, Miki, yes. Sorry, I couldn't remember if it was Aya or Miki, so I will correct myself if I am wrong here, is also a very kind of socially withdrawn. I don't know if I'd go full-on anxious kind of person, but it's also about how playing these board games kind of helps her open up. And the last episode also shows off one of the best representations of that awkward loneliness when you kind of want to hang out with all your friends, but they're busy doing something else, or they're just off doing something, and you don't want to like stick around and wait for them because you think you'll be like a bother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just another really personal thing that hit close to home. So yes, if you like this, if you like board games, or if you just like watching cute girls do cute things for 22 minutes, it's an anime I would definitely recommend. So yes, let's move on to quite possibly one of the most silly and serious anime I've ever seen, One Piece. A giant behemoth with, 1,100 plus episodes, and most of them running on a much stricter continuity than something like Detective Conan. I think...
Is One Piece... So there's like this there's like a trifecta, or maybe it's a quad of like famous shonen series that have like a bazillion episodes.
Oh yeah, the big 3. That used to be Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece.
One Piece.
Yeah.
Is it a lot of filler, or is everything important to the plot?
There are a lot of filler episodes here and there, but more recently they've also just started trying to stretch out a chapter into an entire episode so they can keep pace with the manga that way. So
Gotcha.
because the manga also takes breaks every so often for Oda's health, there will be like an entire filler episode. Sometimes there are just like gaps in the plot where they say, yeah, we can fill something in here that doesn't directly contradict what we know is about to happen.
I see. So some of the stuff is anime original?
Yeah. Though there is a very good filler arc, the G8 arc, which happens. Oh, I can't remember if it's directly after Skypiea or after Long Long Island, which comes immediately after that. But it's basically they wind up in a Navy prison, Navy being the immediate enemies of pirates. And so it's just them trying to get out. And it introduces some cool characters, just has some cool concepts of like them trying to play. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to pose as a pirate. It's basically them running a D&D campaign where they get trapped in prison and just try and bluff their way out.
Gotcha. That does sound entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if somehow you're the one person who's never heard of One Piece, about 20 years ago, I believe, at the start of the show, Gold D. Roger, king of the pirates, is executed and tells the world that his treasure is buried somewhere out there and for them to find, starting a new golden age of piracy. Skip forward about 20 years. Monkey D. Luffy sets out on his quest and begins assembling a crew, picking up people in the East Blue before heading for the Grand Line to look for the treasure, where he starts adding on even more people. And it's been going on for nearly 30 years at this point. I think it's going to go down as kind of one of the fantasy stories of our generation because of that. It's got heart in the right place. It's got a message of like friendship, of adventure, of what it means to have a dream and what that means for your life, how it may be more important to have a dream than to have your life. Like, is living without a dream something you want to do? Or is it that brokenness basically equivalent to death? And what it means to be a good leader, because you see like all kinds of leaders and you can see like the bad ones manipulate, lie, and steal people just for their own benefit, not even for like anything that might be a net positive. Like, sometimes you have to keep secrets from people, but sometimes it's just you're doing that just so you have some amount of control of them rather than anything you think would be good. Or you can see that in a lot of villains, how they might have been good people at some point, but they've just kind of given in to their own ambitions, not for fun or anything, but for their own advancement. Also, the main character just stretches like rubber, and that applies to every part of his body. And as we learned in Amazon Lily, that means every part.
I've seen pictures of Luffy with like his arms stretched out, but I thought that was just like an artistic angle kind of thing. But you're saying he actually can stretch?
Yes, he actually stretches basically like rubber. Like
is it like a superpower? Like, is that weird in universe?
He ate a devil fruit, which gave him those powers.
Okay.
So yes, he can stretch his arms, his legs. Like one of his attacks has him basically do like a Popeye and expand his belly so he can bounce like projectiles back at people.
Yeah, One Piece is one of those series where like I know so many people that like it, and like I recognize the characters and their names, but I don't actually know much about it because I get scared away by the episode count.
Yeah,
if something has a lot of episodes, I just get scared of it.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that. Like if you can watch the live action series on Netflix. I don't have any kind of conflict of interest with saying that now. So yes, you can watch that if you want like a condensed version that shifts some things around. Like there was a reveal that took about 300 episodes that's revealed in season 1 of the live action.
Okay, that's definitely more accessible to me.
Yeah, and then I think Netflix also commissioned was essentially the Brotherhood version of One Piece, which I assume is going to be more like One Piece if it were a seasonal show. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like.
Do you think the author has like an end in mind for One Piece?
Yes, I believe.
Working towards?
Yes, I think there's been a concrete goal in mind. It's just that sometimes the plot has been expanding as things go on.
I've seen people say that like the One Piece, like that's the name of the treasure, right?
That's what everyone calls it. Yes.
It's like a MacGuffin kind of like nobody knows what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotcha. There are people alive who are technically on Roger's crew who might know, but one of the other things is. Well, no one's ever decided to ask them because they either can't find them or the one time that Usopp, a member of the Straw Hat Pirates, considered asking, Luffy basically called no spoilers on him because that wouldn't make the adventure any fun if he already knew what it was.
Luffy, no!
hey, Luffy's all about the journey. He doesn't want to know what's at the end of it. He wants to see it for himself.
That's right. The journey matters more than destination. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's a valid take.
I think all Oda said a bit about it so far, that either in the manga or just in interviews. We know it's a concrete thing, so there is something.
It's like a tangible thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a thing.
It's
we know
not
it's probably.
concept.
Yeah, we know it's probably going to reshape or like change the world when it's revealed. And in the last couple chapters of the manga, they have just been dropping like plot revelation after plot revelation. So I'm really excited to see what chapter, I think it's 11-16 will be the next one after this show. 11-17 after this gets uploaded, though.
So it's a good time to be a One Piece fan.
Yeah. Okay, we've got not so much time left, so I'm going to try and go through the rest of mine as quickly as possible.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault for talking about things too long. Don't worry. Okay. I'm fine basically spending less time talking about mine. So yes, next one. Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. One of my favorites. I think one of the best anime dubs that's ever been made. So it's about a boy named Yukio Tanaka. He goes by Koyuki because I think in elementary school there were two Yukio Tanaka. So one went by Koyuki, meaning little Yuki, and one I think went by like Big Yuki. It's apparently based on baseball players that had the same problem. But at 14, he has little direction in his life until he goes to see like a rock concert at this small like live house. And from there, he kind of takes up music, goes through his teenage years, joins a band. And it's about like kind of their maturation, how they kind of all grow together. And it kind of builds up to this big performance at a festival. And it's just, like one of the moments that will stick with me in anime forever. Just like,
yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it as much, but it's a performance of I've Got a Feeling by the Beatles that just does a progressive instrumentation. So it's like, as each member comes on, the new instrument gets added. So it starts off with Koyuki on guitar, just playing that. And then everyone kind of makes it to the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love rock and roll music, so like kind of seeing the power of rock in a much less fantastical sense, just how it kind of helps you find a direction in a directionless life by dedicating yourself to like something you love. It was something that kind of really stuck with me. Honestly, the first episode I believe is called The View at 14. At 24, it felt just as relevant to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It also has a shout out to the Shawshank Redemption in like one of the later episodes.
That's random.
Oh, well, he mentions that he's shouting out the Shawshank Redemption because it's like one of his bullies has turned people against him. So he breaks into the principal's office and puts on a rock song on the PA, similar to how Andy puts on an opera in, I think, the warden's office in Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. Okay, you actually remember that scene this time. Yeah. So yes,
I was just talking about Shawshank recently, I think, with Ariel, actually.
Yeah, and that's why I remembered that. But you didn't remember Ziwataneho. Shame on you, Fang. Okay, continuing my speed run. Girlfriend. Best summarized as a couple of idiots try polyamory. So,
is this Yori?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, those are the girlfriends. I'm sorry I got you interested and then... So, Naoya finally gets his childhood friend and crush, Saki, the redhead in the bottom right, to agree to be his girlfriend. And then just after that happens, Nagisa, the one with the blue hair in the bottom left, confesses to him. And he's just so, like, doesn't want to hurt her feelings that he's like, okay, let me ask Saki if I can... date both of you at the same time. And then it just kind of snowballs from there as things keep happening. This is just my love of that kind of comedy romance that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So it's...
I gotta ask. Oh, sorry.
Sorry?
I was gonna say, have you seen the 100 Girlfriends That Really, 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 Really Love You?
On my backlog. I heard about it from you and other people and how they're kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it, like I said, it kind of snowballs from that point. Mirika, the blonde in the top right, learns about the situation and kind of tries to weasel her way in as well. First, just trying to be his exclusive girlfriend, just because he's like, no, I can't date you. I'm already dating these two people, and I can't be an even bigger idiot and date 3 people at the same time. And she's just like, how could someone reject me of all people? And then we learn that Shino, the one with the white hair in the top right, who is also Saki's best friend, also has a crush on Naoya and has been secretly trying to either force them together or get them to break up after he doesn't seem able to commit or be entirely romantic to her. So it's just weird relationship hijinks, just compounded by, oh yeah, all these people want to get together and they have no idea how to make this work. So in a way, it's also kind of like a good idea for a guide for making relationships work, that it's kind of built on honest communication with your partner. Mm-hmm. So I think it's one of the best like absurdist comedies or romantic comedies of the past couple of years. Also, season 1 at least has a really great dub. I haven't watched season 2's dub yet. Well, last I checked, it was because one of the voice actors, I think, was pregnant when it was recording. Yeah. So she got replaced. I'm waiting for it to come out with like the disc release dub, which will hopefully have her back in her role. But yes, it's great. Also, to show how the dub is great, it just goes completely absurd with it. So Saki, once again, redhead in the bottom right, is very flat chested, or not flat chested, but doesn't have big boobs. I'll just say it straight.
Small chested.
Yes. And so she's very envious of both Nagisa and especially Mirika, who have bigger boobs. That's the only way I can put it at this point. And so she'll make comments about it, and they just, in the dub, they threw in just about any kind of euphemism they could think of. So I think for one scene, she uses memory foam pillows, or another one. She honest to God, got to use the phrase mommy milkers in there. I was like, okay, this is just an amazing comedy at this point.
No, memory foam is clever. That's really clever.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to steal that. I'm going to say that later to Mr. Fangy.
Okay. Once again,
I'm going to pretend I came up with it.
Yes.
He's going to think I'm so smart.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? No, that's not Manuel. That's Javier. Come on. Sorry, if you weren't watching Ariel stream, you don't know what I'm talking about. But hi, Manuel.
I was talking to Ariel earlier today, and I was like, I'm gonna be hanging out with JD tonight on his podcast. And then she was like, "Oh, is," and I was like, "Manuel," and she was like, "Yeah, is Manuel gonna be there?"
Well, apparently he is. He's just in chat. So yes, to wrap up quickly with my final 2, X. Clamp's magnum opus, in my opinion. I talked about this a few weeks ago on our Clamp episode, but allow me to go into more here. So, Kamui Shiro is our main character. He is like a child chosen by destiny to decide the fate of the world. His mother tried to buy him time, or like try to get him out of his position, but she ended up dying, sacrificing herself, and only ended up buying him time to when he would make that choice. She like took him out of Tokyo, and then when he returns later in life, he meets 2 of his friends again, the Mono siblings, Fuma and Kotori, and learns like the true extent of his destiny. He is to make a choice whether to be a dragon of earth or a dragon of heaven. Dragons of heaven will save the world or save humanity, but it may doom the environment and the world itself. While dragons of earth fight for the opposite cause. They will essentially sacrifice humanity and hope that it will save the earth at that point.
Okay. Like a man versus nature kind of thing?
Yes. And so there are these 2 groups. They each are composed of 7 people marked by destiny to join those sides, along with 2 sisters who kind of lead the teams. That was one of the things I forgot when I was talking about it on our Clamp episode. I forgot about Lady Hino and her sister, whose name escapes me at this moment, but are kind of like the leaders of the teams. And just like the kind of emotional toll this takes on everyone, like Shiro making his choice kind of dooms his friend Fuma, who is intertwined in his fate.
Yeah.
And so it's him trying to save Fuma when Destiny at this point says that one of them will have to die for either side to be successful. This also continues the stories of characters from Clamp's earlier work, Tokyo Babylon. Seishiro Sakurazuka and Subaru Sumeragi are both members of the opposing sides, and they have a very complicated relationship already going into this, and it kind of is used as a foil for Kamui and Fuma's relationship of how this could go in like the worst possible ending for them. The anime TV series is great. The movie is not as good. It compresses way too many things into 90 minutes, and it's got a very good atmosphere and kind of compresses it as best as it can into that time slot, but it definitely needed more to breathe. I just really wish the manga, which got discontinued after about 18 of 21 planned volumes, had gotten to finish, because we'll never see Clamp's original ending. I mentioned it before. I believe it was just the state of the world was mimicking too much of what was shown in X with terrorist attacks. This ran up to like
something where like the publishers canceled it, or like the artist decided not to do it anymore?
I believe it's technically been on hiatus for about 20 years now.
Just like Nana.
Yeah.
I feel ya.
Yeah, so maybe one day we'll get the end of it, but right now, well, wait, I don't think Clamp has anything really in publishing right now. Maybe someday soon, I say as I huff the biggest amount of copium ever huffed.
The copium, yes.
Yes.
So real.
So yes, it's a great series. Read it. Watch the anime. I believe that's also on Crunchyroll. It's probably the best interpretation of it we're going to get that has an ending of it. I love the characters in it, especially my two favorites, like of the original characters in this, are Sorata Arisugawa. He's a monk with lightning powers from Osaka, so he's a very intuitive guy, but he also plays like plays up being the fool a lot.
Yeah. I mean, isn't Osaka? I feel like Osaka's known for comedians.
Comedians. Also, the stereotype of people from there being not very smart. On top of that, he knows that his destiny is to die for the woman he loves, and so he is driven to make it a very beautiful woman. So he kind of latches on. There, that's the word I was looking for. To Arashi Kishu, that's her name, a shrine maiden who has a very complicated relationship with relationships and her mother. How her mother was another shrine maiden who gave birth to her and died very soon after, because it was I think her destiny after losing her virginity, that kind of stuff. And so it's kind of them struggling with, is fate a concept that we are slaves to, are unable to change? Can we take this into our own hands? And we'll never know what Clamp thinks about it, but we've at least seen what Madhouse does, and I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. Okay. On to my final one. Big Windup. So yes, this is my favorite sports anime. I don't care that much for sports in real life, but boy, sports in anime, it's just something different. So this one...
I feel you there.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the kid's name. I'll put it over here when I remember. But he has the potential to be a great pitcher. He just had a very unsupportive team, and I guess a string of bad luck and no self-esteem in middle school. So as he gets into high school, he's I think doesn't think he's going to be playing baseball, but he kind of gets back into it, and he actually finds a supportive team with a coach who knows the psychology of sports and how to kind of use that to best ensure their chances. So it's him finding that kind of supportive environment. It's noted that he is very skilled, but he just has no strength to throw a fastball. So they note that a high school pitcher can generally throw to 4 zones. You know, your upper left, your upper right, your bottom left, your bottom right. He can throw to 9, which he can use that control to throw in the strike zones or try and fake them out.
Gotcha.
So they swing at it.
I don't know sports, so I'm I can kind of picture this maybe.
Yes. He can make them think they can hit it, but make them miss it, obviously. And their teacher, or their Momoka sensei, I can't remember what you use for coach in Japanese, but an adult woman who's teaching this team and knows how to get them motivated, how to like build on a rally to kind of dominate your opponent so that they don't really come back. And it's kind of their journey through the school year and the games they play. There's like an exhibition match against or a bunch of players on his old team, and they see how he's grown and learn to kind of respect him, that they were wrong for mistreating him. Or as they go through Koshien, the Japanese like big high school tournament. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, at some point this Cinderella story is going to end. They have to deal with that fact because as sly as they are, someone will eventually catch on to kind of what the things that they're doing. If someone finds your playbook and knows what's going on, they can read you, like the book. So I think it's a very, I don't want to say realistic, but it's a very grounded take on kind of sports in that way. It's still comedic. They basically feel like a group of 15-year-old boys if you kind of threw them together in in training camps and that kind of stuff. So that's why I like it. It's my favorite sports anime, probably followed by, like, I think my next ones would be Prince of Tennis, Yuri on Ice, and then Free. I couldn't give you a fifth one at the moment, but if I think of one, I will once again put it here. But yeah, that's kind of my 3x3. I think I don't know how much it says about me. What do you think, Fangy?
There's definitely a lot of stuff on here that, like, I did not know you were into. Mm-hmm. Like, I would not have expected the sports anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not something I talk about very much for whatever reason.
I didn't expect Beck either, but I should have. Because you always make musical references.
Yeah. I grew up on listening to, like, 70s, 60s, 80s rock with my mother. And so that's just been a very big part of my childhood. I knew
that you, like, knew a lot of music, but I didn't realize, like, how important it was, I guess.
Yeah. And I love the end credits. It's My World Down by, I believe it's Meister. And, like, as the credits go, there are images of different, like, rock and roll icons, I think many of whom tragically died too young. Yeah. And, like, it ends on one for Kurt Cobain, and Nirvana is one of my favorite bands. So just seeing that every episode is, nice, poignant in a kind of way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do feel like I got to know you a bit more from the 3x3.
Yeah. Oh, that's always good. That's what this is here to do. So yes, let's start wrapping up. There we go. So yes, that's been, I think, technically the last episode of anime for this year. We might be doing our definitive, completely objective anime tier list part 2 next week because we only got through about maybe half the shows last time.
Is Samurai Flamenco on it?
Sadly, no. It was at one time the top 100 rated shows on Mal.
I'm unsubscribing right now.
I didn't make the list. I just found it, Fangy. I'm sorry.
Why do people on my anime list have such shit tastes?
I don't know.
Actually, I don't know what's in the top 100. I should take a look. And now I'm curious.
Yeah, the list had changed up a bit since that list had been made. So I had to throw in a few at the bottom just to, like, match more current tastes. Like, for whatever, it was made before Free Ren came out. So Free Ren
at number 1. Wow.
Yeah, and Oshinoko is, I think, somewhere in the top 100 at this point. So I added those. I'm probably going to add back in Apothecary Diaries, all that kind of stuff that came out recently. And yes, Manuel says we'll probably be doing that next week. As for tomorrow, we'll be having A to J Adventures, where Manuel and Warren will be playing through Breath of Fire 3. They just finished the opening sequence with Child Ryu, so they're finally to, like, the main part of the game. No DTR this week. We will be back next week with the further misadventures of our party. Fangy, do you have anything you'd like to advertise at this point?
Well, tomorrow on my channel, I'm probably going to be playing some Control. I've beaten the main storyline, and I'm doing some DLC. I've got the Foundation DLC, and I've got an Alan Wake DLC that I'm very excited to start. And then I'm also getting far in Paradise Killer. I have found a killer, so that's very exciting. Murder confirmed. I even have a confession. So I'll be playing some more of that as well.
All right.
Come on by.
Please go check her out at Twitch TV /Fangy. You can see in the chat right here. And once again, don't believe her
Hey!
lies. Those aren't ferocious roars.
Chan?
Those are yawns. I completely forgot I had written that message until now. I knew it shouted you out. I just forgot I wrote that part. But yes, other than that, yes, we'll be back next week, and hopefully we can have Fangy on sometime again in the future. Good night, everybody.
I'm sure I'll be back. Bye bye.